All right, if you're a dog owner in Uxbridge, you've come to the right place. This is your go-to guide for finding a fantastic local trainer. We're going to walk through everything you need to feel really confident about the choice you make for you and your best friend.
I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is pretty simple, right? It's all about having a dog you can really enjoy life with. Think about it. Calm walks through town, or maybe a peaceful trip out to the Blackstone River and Canal Heritage State Park. That's what good training really opens up for you.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why thinking local really matters. Then, what makes a great trainer. After that, we'll get into the different training options and what they cost. We'll also cover the must-ask questions for any consultation. And finally, we'll wrap up with some Uxbridge-specific rules and resources.
All right, Section 1. Why Uxbridge matters. It's all about connecting training to your local lifestyle. You know, a trainer who gets what it's like to live here can build a program that actually works for the situations you and your dog run into every day.
And this is really what success looks like in Uxbridge. It's not just about learning sit and stay in some quiet room. It's about your dog being able to walk comfortably past other people on River Road or staying focused even when there's a game going on at the athletic fields. Now that is practical, real-world training.
Okay, moving on to Section 2. What makes a great trainer? Here we're going to decode their methods and credentials. Let's look at the key things you should be searching for, starting with how they approach training.
So one of the best and kindest methods out there is called positive reinforcement. The whole idea is, instead of correcting bad behaviors, you reward the good ones, the stuff you want to see. It builds a really strong bond of trust, and honestly, it makes learning fun for your dog. And a happy dog learns faster and more reliably. Now, an interesting thing about Massachusetts is that trainers don't actually need a license. That's why certifications are such a good sign. They show that a trainer is serious about their education and professional standards. You might see things like CPDTK, which is great for general skills, or something like CBCCK if you're dealing with more complex behavior stuff.
All right, on to Section 3, training formats and costs. Let's talk about the different options available and what you should expect to budget for them right here in the Uxbridge area.
So the two most common ways to do this are group classes and private lessons. Group classes, they're awesome for getting your dog to focus when other dogs and people are around. But private lessons are perfect for those issues that only happen at home, like going nuts when the doorbell rings, or for working on leash skills right in your own neighborhood.
And then there's a third option you'll see, board and train. This is where your dog actually lives with the trainer for a period of time. It's super intensive, for sure, but it can really speed up the results, especially if you have a crazy busy schedule or if your dog just needs a serious reset.
Okay, let's talk money. What do these services actually cost? This table gives you a pretty good idea of the average ranges you'll find around Uxbridge for 2025. You know, it's best to think of this as an investment in your dog's future and your own sanity. So a 4 to 6 week group class might be in the $150 to $290 range. A single private lesson is usually around $100 to $180. And as you can see, a full board and train program is a much bigger financial commitment.
Okay, Section 4 is super practical. Questions for a consultation. This is where you really get to take the driver's seat. Knowing what to ask is how you make sure you find the absolute perfect fit.
So what are those essential questions you need to ask? Getting these answers helps you see past any sales pitch and really get to the heart of a trainer's methods and experience before you sign on the dotted line.
Here you go. This is basically your interview checklist. Ask them straight up. What methods do you use? What are your credentials? And a big one, how are you going to tailor this for my dog? You'll also want to know how you'll both track progress, what you should be doing between lessons, and of course, get a complete breakdown of all the costs and any policies. If you ask these, you'll have all your bases covered.
All right, our final section, number 5, training in your town. This is all about putting those new skills to the test out in the real world, while also making sure you're following local rules and taking advantage of all the great spots Uxbridge has to offer.
Let's start with a really simple but super important one. The number to remember is 6 feet. That's the standard leash length you need in all public spaces in Uxbridge. Doesn't matter if you're on a town trail or in an event, it's all about safety and control.
And besides the leash law, there are a few other key things to keep in mind. First, all dogs over 6 months old need a current rabies vaccine. That's state law. You also need to license your dog every year with the Uxbridge Town Clerk. And one more thing to be aware of. Excessive barking can actually be considered a nuisance under town bylaws. Just one more reason good training is so helpful.
So once you and your dog start learning, you'll need some good places to practice. And we've got some great local spots for that. The Blackstone River and Canal Heritage State Park is amazing for working on skills. Same goes for the West Hill Dam Recreation Area. Both are perfect for practicing polite leash walking. And if you want a little change of scenery, Pout Pond over in Douglas is another fantastic option.
You know, the whole point of all this is to have a confident, well-behaved buddy who can enjoy everything our town has to offer, right there with you. Finding the right trainer is just the first step on that journey. We wish you the absolute best in your search, because the reward is so worth it. A wonderful companion who can be part of everything, whether you're at home, walking around town, or spending time with family and friends.